No one inside the palace expected this moment to arrive so soon, not with the monarchy already stretched to its limits, not with the king battling health challenges, not with the Princess of Wales recovering from her own ordeal, not with Prince William carrying the heaviest royal workload in modern memory, and certainly not with the older generations slowly stepping back after decades of service. But now, as royal duties pile higher than ever and the list of working royals grows smaller by the month, one question is being whispered across Britain with a mix of desperation, confusion, and quiet fear. Who will save the monarchy next? Who will step forward when the institution needs new hands, new faces, new strength? For a long time, many believed the answer was obvious, that the next generation, Lady Louise Windsor and James, the Earl of Wessex, would eventually be called in, groomed, shaped, and prepared to take their place beside the King, the Queen, the Prince of Wales, and the Princess of Wales. They are young, they are well-liked, they are close to the crown, and in the eyes of royal watchers, they represent the future. But now a shocking revelation from a respected royal biographer has turned that hope on its head. The truth, he says, is far more dramatic, far more unexpected, and far more alarming than anyone imagined. According to biographer Sean Smith, the young royals will not step in. They will not take on roles. They will not become the reinforcements the monarchy desperately needs. In fact, he says, they are being carefully guided toward a future outside the royal machine entirely. And that leaves one chilling question. What happens to the monarchy when the next generation refuses the throne's call? Before we go any further, there's something I need to share with you. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, but most haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal history. Now, let's unravel the dramatic truth behind the future of the monarchy, the young royals who want no part of it, and the crisis quietly taking shape behind palace doors. To understand how we reached this moment, we must first look at the two figures at the center of this story. Lady Louise Windsor, age 21, and her younger brother, James, the Earl of Wessex, age 17. The children of Prince Edward and Duchess Sophie, the grandchildren of Queen Elizabeth II, the niece and nephew of King Charles III. For years, royal watchers have seen the potential in these two. Louise, elegant, calm, thoughtful, and strikingly similar in demeanor to her grandmother. James, polite, grounded, discreet, and shielded from controversy. Both raised outside the spotlight, both protected from tabloid frenzy, both praised for their manners, their humility, and their groundedness. And yet, this very quietness, this very normalcy, may be the reason they will never become what the monarchy now needs them to be. Sean Smith, royal biographer and author of Sophie, Saving the Royal Family, has revealed that Edward and Sophie have been preparing their children for years not to join the working royal roster, but to avoid it entirely. This is his analysis, not an official palace statement, but it aligns with what many have observed in the choices made for Louise and James since childhood. Smith explains that the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh were deliberate, perhaps even strategic, in building a future for their children outside the crown's demands. Louise was not styled as Her Royal Highness growing up. James, though entitled to certain forms of address, has lived as a private teen in boarding school, rarely seen at official events. Edward and Sophie were the first to break the cycle of automatically pushing the next generation into the institution, and in doing so, they may have changed the royal future forever. The biographer says, "I am confident there will be no pressure on Louise and James." A powerful statement, one that hints at years of parental intention, one that reveals a plan hidden in plain sight. If this is true, and it is still technically unverified, it means that while the monarchy is shrinking, the next generation is stepping back, not forward. Inside Buckingham Palace, this reality is undoubtedly being felt. The king is 77. The Princess of Wales is still recovering. Princess Anne, one of the hardest-working royals, has carried the institution for over 50 years. Even the Duchess of Gloucester, beloved and dedicated, is in her 80s. Queen Camilla performs tirelessly, but is in her late 70s. The number of royals available for full-time duties is dangerously small. And yet, the two young adults who could strengthen the future are being kept far from royal life. Now imagine the conversation inside the palace walls. Imagine the King and Prince of Wales looking at the royal calendar. Thousands of engagements yearly, hundreds of events needing representation, entire regions of the Commonwealth expecting visits, speeches, leadership. And now imagine learning that two promising young heirs would not be stepping in at all. This isn't just surprising, it's destabilizing. But to understand why Louise and James are not being held to royal expectations, we must look at how Edward and Sophie raised them, a stark contrast to the rigid institution their cousins grew up in. Where others grew up under cameras, Louise and James grew up in nature, at school, in quiet. Where others were groomed for speeches, ceremonies, and duties, Louise was practicing carriage driving, a passion inherited from Prince Philip himself. Where others were shaped for life under scrutiny, James was encouraged to embrace privacy, academics, and normality. Louise is now entering her final year at the University of St. Andrews, studying English, far from any royal grooming program. James is attending Radley College, an all-boys boarding school known for discipline in academics, and has made the rarest public appearances. Neither has an official role, neither attends royal engagements, neither receives royal funding. Neither is connected to official patronages. They are Windsors, but they are not being prepared to be working Windsors. And now, according to Sean Smith, this is not a matter of circumstance, but design. But here is where this story becomes even more dramatic. The monarchy needs them, and desperately. When Elizabeth II was queen, there were over a dozen senior working royals. Today, there are barely half that number. The crown is aging, the pressure is mounting, the future is uncertain. William and Catherine will carry the monarchy one day, but who will stand beside them? Their children are far too young. Princess Anne cannot keep the pace forever. Prince Edward and Sophie themselves are nearing retirement age in royal terms. And so, the institution quietly looked toward Louise and James, only to learn, through the words of a biographer, that their parents have shielded them from this destiny entirely.
This is not rebellion. This is displacement. A quiet refusal, formed through years of upbringing. This is the making of a royal crisis. Consider what this means for the future. Lady Louise, with her grace and potential, could have been a powerful royal figure. She resembles her grandmother in spirit, a thoughtful, intellectual woman with a gentle presence. For years, many believed she would step up when needed. Now it appears that she will not, and that her family never intended her to. James, the Earl of Wessex, likewise represents a promising prospect, a grounded young man raised without royal arrogance. The monarchy could have molded him into a modern working royal. But again, it appears his parents have ensured his path lies outside palace walls. And while this choice protects their freedom, it exposes something far more dangerous for the crown. The future bench is empty. For King Charles and Prince William, this is more than a curiosity. It is a practical threat. Without a young generation stepping in, the monarchy may be unable to maintain the workload and visibility needed to justify its existence. Nevertheless, Edward and Sophie's motives are understandable. They watched the toll royal life takes. They saw how young royals become tabloid targets. They witnessed the emotional cost of scrutiny, duty, and restriction. They saw what happened to Harry and William when pressure was placed on them too young. They saw the media consume Meghan. They saw the institution strain under its own history. They wanted peace for their children. But peace for Louise and James may mean pressure for William and Catherine. And pressure for William and Catherine may mean instability
for the monarchy. This is the crossroads. And so now we arrive at the emotional heart of this story. Lady Louise Windsor, 21 years old, living as a university student with a rumored boyfriend named Felix de Silva Clamp. A claim unverified, but widely speculated. She attends carriage driving competitions. She studies English literature. She is, for all intents and purposes, an ordinary young woman with an extraordinary lineage. Imagine being her. Imagine knowing that you carry the blood of kings and queens, that your grandmother was one of the most powerful women on earth, that your uncle sits on the throne, yet you are free from royal expectation, free from royal duty, free from royal burden. Now imagine the monarchy looking toward you, not with pressure yet, but with hope. And imagine having parents who refuse to let that hope become a demand. James, likewise, lives quietly, attending school events, joining his family on Christmas walks, appearing only occasionally at milestones such as the coronation of King Charles. He is the picture of normalcy within a royal shell. For years, people believed these two would someday carry the institution. But now that belief is fading. Their future lies away from the palace, not inside of it. This is not rebellion. This is liberation. And it is also the root of the crisis the monarchy now faces. Because if not them, then who? Who remains to carry the crown into the next 50 years? The Wales children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, are still far too young. Princess Anne's role will be reduced over time. Edward and Sophie themselves are aging. The king cannot maintain a full workload forever. Queen Camilla, dedicated as she is, cannot perform the duties of an entire generation. Thus, the monarchy enters a dangerous period. An institution designed to be upheld by many is now being upheld by few. And the few who could join, the very few, are being guided toward private lives. This is why Sean Smith's comments struck a nerve across the UK, because his analysis, while not confirmed by the palace, touches a nerve already exposed. The monarchy is shrinking faster than it can recover. Smith's perspective is clear. He believes Edward and Sophie made their decision for the well-being of their children. He believes they prioritized emotional stability over royal obligation. He believes Louise and James will flourish outside the system, not inside it. And he also believes that no amount of royal need, no appeal from King Charles, no appeal from Prince William, will change that. There will be no pressure, no expectation, no roles waiting in the wings. The next generation will be free. But at what cost to the monarchy? Behind closed palace doors, this question may already be echoing. And so the story of Lady Louise and James becomes more than a personal narrative. It becomes a symbol of a larger shift, a symbol of a generation choosing normalcy over duty, a symbol of parents protecting their children from the life they themselves were bound to, a symbol of a monarchy unsure of its future. This is not a scandal. It is a crisis of succession, a crisis of population, a crisis of identity. And it leads to a final question. What happens when the monarchy calls and no one answers? Tell me what you think. Do you believe Louise and James should step in? Or is their freedom more important than the institution's future? And can the monarchy survive as it becomes smaller and smaller? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to follow every twist, every shift, every hidden signal shaping the future of the crown, make sure you subscribe to Crownverse and turn on your notifications. Because the next chapter in this royal story is already unfolding, and you won't want to miss what comes next.